Hello everyone, welcome joining Framwork training session for today. Um, this is the final training session of Framwork. After this training, you should be able to write a complete workable test automation scripts. So let's get started. This is today's agenda. Um, I will introduce how to use and design variable and resource file today, which is a very important part of writing a good automation script. And next, I will introduce how to do flow control in Framework. And also, I will introduce some different ways to manage your test suite. And the final, I will give you a simple demo of how to implement parallel execution in Framework. The training won't be long since the advanced features are quite easy to understand if you have some programming basic concept. So let's get started and go to the first one. Variable file. As we mentioned before, Framework is written in Python, so natively it can import Python files as its variable file. But one thing you must pay attention to is that all variables, including function, name not preceded by an underscore, will be considered as variables. Sometimes it will cause serious problem, so be careful to use this feature. Okay. And the strength of the variable file is not only basic type variables can be imported, but also objects can be imported. I will show you a demo later. Okay. Here we see the first example. The first two variables are basic string type. Here. Maybe you will notice that there is an underscore in the second variable's name here. We will see how it would be processed in robot. And the next two variables are list type. And the second list type variable, its name is preceded by a list and two underscore, which will tell Framework that this is a list type variable. So let's see how we will use this variable in robot. Okay, first one. The way we use the first variable is quite straightforward. Just type the variable name, just as we put in the variable table in test suite. The variable name, okay. And you will see how I call when I call the second variable, it doesn't have an underscore, right? Doesn't have an underscore, but in the Python file, it has an underscore. So why? Because for Framework, underscore can be ignored. Okay, so of course you can use the full name of the variable. It did have an underscore, so these two is basically the same variable. Okay, so as for list type, we can use it directly. Okay, here, and of course we can use it just like what we did in Python to access a specific element in list. For example, this is the second element of the list. So if we start from 0, so as assigned here is the second element of the list type variable. Okay. So the last variable, you can see the whole list and to underscore was ignored. Okay, this here you just see a second list, but its original Python file is preceded by list and to underscore. Okay, so we can run the script and see the result. Okay, it's all passed, and we can check the log. Okay, so you see that the variable is correctly be logged. Okay, and you can see on the to access the variable with underscore or without underscore, they gave us the same result. And if we use the list type character directly, it will show you the full content of the list type character. And of course, you can access the specific type, the specific element of the list. And of course, the last one, the list and to underscore tells the robot framework that this is a list type, but in the real robot framework scripts, you can ignore the list and to underscore. It will correctly use the variable. Okay, so this is a demo of the simple backset type variable. So the next one is remember we can import object as variable. So here is a simple sample here. In this Python file, I created a class named test object. And it has two variables, name and age. So outside, I created an object called the obj1 and give it name and give it age. So let's see what will happen if we put it in robot. Okay. You can see the first one. Rather than displaying the content of the object like the list type variable do, if you use object directly, you will only get the reference of the object. You must choose specific variable in the object so that you can access it. Okay. For example, if you want to access the object's name, you must give it the name here, and same for age. So let's see what will happen if you run the script. Okay, and check the result. So if you use the object directly, it will only give you the object's reference. Okay. If you want to access specific element, you need to give it name. Must use the way like this. Okay. So it's very simple. If you have programming experience, so this is very simple. That's not all we can do in variable file. So you can check the Robot Framework guide for more info, for information, and you can try in your script and see what will happen. Okay, the next topic is the resource file. I believe that you still remember that what I had demoed in the first training session. I extract a lot of element locators, device configuration from test suite into separate resource files. So resource file plays a very important role in Robot Framework since the usability is based on this. The resource files contains not much different with the test suite. So it's very easy to understand the structure. So let's see some example here. So let me use Lime Connect test automation script as an example again. You can see I put a lot of element locators here so that once the UI changes, I can easily modify the resource file rather than modify the script itself. And of course, keywords. Okay, we can define our own keywords for those frequently used working flow so that we can maintain the readability in scripts. So we don't have to modify everywhere in the scripts if the workflow changes. Okay, so we define the keyword here, and in real script looks like this. Okay, so we can reduce to use the basic keyword directly. So this is a demo. And the next one is flow control. Okay, flow control is an important part of programming. So it's also true for Robot Framework. We will not discuss too much details here in this training, but we'll still show you the basic of the flow control in Robot. And first, we can take a look at the loop. So for loop is widely used in every modern programming languages, and Robot Framework support for loop too. So you can see the slide of how it looks like of the syntax. This is the syntax for the Robot Framework's for loop. It's not quite different from the other programming language, but it did have some syntax difference. Okay. So though Robot Framework is built on Python, but Robot Framework actually lacks some features that Python has. The most noticeable is that Robot Framework doesn't support infinite loop. Okay, so you cannot use the while true sorry, you cannot use the while true in RoboFramework. Okay, but RoboFramework has a lot of different kinds of keywords to help users to create the scripts. So actually, there's not too much impact. Okay, and next, of course, the RoboFramework have if-else condition. So it provides two kinds of the condition keywords. The first one is run keyword if, which means run the keyword if the condition is true, or run keyword unless, which means run the keyword always run the keyword unless the condition is true. Okay, and sure, it has the if, else if, and else, just like every other programming language. Okay, so let's see some examples. Okay, the first one is a very standard example for the loop. It has range, okay, from 1 to 10, and this for loop will log the current index for every time the loop runs. The second one is to traverse all elements in the list, so it will, every time the loop runs, it will give the element in the list. So the first time it runs the loop, the animal will be cat, and the next will be dog, and rabbit, snake, until all the elements in the list finished. Okay, so let's run the script and see what will happen. Okay, check the log. Okay, you can see the log. It logs every index. Okay, so when the index is 1, it will log. Okay, so 1, 2 until 9, so you are logged. And for the list, you also log all the list elements. Okay, okay, so of course we can rewrite the script. We don't want to log every element, so we can modify the script like this. First one, I use the run keyword if, which means only the condition is true, it will log the index. So here I set the condition to if the index is equal to 5, it will log the index. Okay, very simple. Next one is a little interesting. I rewrite the script using run keyword unless. So in this keyword, it means unless the animal is equal to rabbit, it will log every element in the list. So of course, you can run the script and see what will happen. Okay, we can see the fail here. Oh, but why? Because in the previous test case, the 1 to 10 will be considered as numbers, so it's reasonable to pass the check of the operator equal to. But it's a little different here. So here we want to make a check of string, so you need to give it a quote. Okay, here can give it a quote. Okay, so I've corrected, and let's run again. Okay, so you passed. So you must remember, if you want to use the condition from if one string equals to another string, you must remember to add the quote. Okay, so let's see the example. Log. Okay, so for our design, you should only log the file. Okay, so first we check file. Okay, it's successfully logged. And from 1 to 9, it should not be logged unless 5. Okay, you see that it passed the 1 and passed 2. Okay, and passed 9. Okay, only 5 was logged. Okay, and see the next one. It should log every element, including the cat, dog, snake, unless the animal is rabbit. Okay, so cat should be logged. Okay, cat logged, and dog should be logged. So it's logged, and the rabbit should not be logged. Okay, so it doesn't log the rabbit. Final select snake. Okay, it log the snake. Okay, so here's a very simple example of how to do the flow control in Robot Framework. And of course, if you need more information, you can check the Robot Framework's user guide for more info. Okay, the next one is test suite. Okay, we have mentioned that there are two ways to manage and run your test suite. The first one is using tags, and the second one is using folder. So what's the difference? Using tags, you can filter and assign specific test suite or test cases which contains the tag. But if you put test suite in the folder, which means you can consolidate test cases for the same test type in the folder. For example, if you want to put all BAT test cases for app client in one folder, so you can all put them in the same folder. And of course, you can mix these two types of test suite management to improve your efficiency, your performance. And the next is that you may wonder, if I put all these test cases in one folder, okay, so we use the folder management, how can I make sure that the execution order is correct? So to solve this problem, you need to name the test suite by number order. So you need to use number and to underscore preceded. Okay, we will see the example. So the next one you can see here, and you want to tell the execution order of the test suite. You need to name the test suite with one number and two underscore preceded. Okay, so the robot framework will know if you want to execute this test suite in the folder with the order you want. There is a 1, 2, 3. Okay, but in the test report, the number and two underscore will not show in, they will not displayed in the test report. So let's see what will happen. If you want to run all scripts in the folder, you just need to give robot framework its folder name. So we give robot framework its folder name. Okay, so you will run all scripts in this folder. Okay, so you go past. Okay, so let's see the log. Okay, see, it's a loop 1, loop 2, loop 3. So you notice that the number and two underscore disappeared here because the robot framework will know that this is just you want to tell the robot framework the execution order, not its name. So you can use this feature. Okay, the final part of our training is to show you the parallel execution. So in previous version of Robot Framework, it supported parallel execution, but stopped developing after. But luckily, we have Pebble instead. Pebble is also a good replacement. Okay, so Pebble will split one execution to multiple and save execution time. But you must remember that Pebble split execution at test suite level, not from test cases, which means that you can run multiple test suites at the same time, but not multiple test cases in one test suite. Okay, and also test suite for parallel execution need to be well designed. Otherwise, it may cause serious problem. For example, some test cases have dependencies. So if you run it concurrently, the dependencies will fail. Okay, the test cases with dependency will fail because the previous one has not finished, or one test suite result need to be cleaned up before next test suite started. For example, if one test suite generates some test result, test data in the database, and the next test suite need a full clean database, but the previous test suite has already left some data on it, so the next test suite will fail because it needs a complete clean database. So we call it data pollution. So there's a lot of things need to be considered in parallel execution. Okay, it need well designed. So We will show only best user operating scenario here. We will not show very complex parallel execution test cases. Okay, I'll show you a demo here. Okay, we use the same folder to demo how to use a Pebble for parallel execution. So here you can see we have 3 test suite here, and if you want to run these 3 test suites parallelly, it's very easy to use it. The Pebble, you must assign how many processes you want to run concurrently. We use 3 here, and for the name, okay, so you will see that it runs the script at the same time, almost at the same time, and it will show you the status of the test cases, and you will also generate a report and tell you how many times is spent on these test cases. Okay, so it's very easy to use the Pebble, but as I mentioned before, that the test cases for parallel execution need to be well designed. So please, if you want to design the test cases for parallel execution, please pay attention to the detail. Okay. Okay. Thank you, everybody. The total 4 training session is finished here, but this is just a start. The test automation, not only robot framework, we have too much to learn, and from now I believe you have a capability to write a good test cases, and has the ability to check the reference, and from now we can share our findings in the COP channel, and we can help each other if we found any problems. So let's make it together. For Live Connect, we want to put the first wave test scripts to run by the end of December, and God help us that we can finish on time, on schedule. Thank you very much.